We're grateful for each and every one of you. Let us know where in the world you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let's begin. The scent of roasted garlic and butter floated in the kitchen, mingling with the faint jazz humming from the Bluetooth speaker. Adam Matthews stirred the pasta gently, distracted but trying his best to stay present. He glanced at the clock. 7:42 p.m. Nora should have been back by now. Their 7-year-old daughter, Lila, was upstairs, humming quietly as she colored on the carpet. Adam used to love evenings like these. Quiet, predictable, warm. But lately, there was something fraying at the edges, something he couldn't explain. The front door creaked open. He turned, smiling automatically. Nora stepped in wearing heels too tall for a grocery run and makeup far too sharp for a casual Thursday. "You're late," Adam said, playful but curious. She kissed his cheek absent-mindedly, then glanced toward Lila's room. Had to take a detour. Traffic near Fremont was a nightmare. Adam noticed the scent lingering on her, an expensive cologne, one he didn't wear. They sat down to eat, the candlelight flickering between them. Nora twirled her fork, but didn't eat. Adam finally asked, "Everything okay?" She looked up. Her expression wasn't cold, but it was detached, like her emotions were behind some tinted glass. "Have you ever thought about being with someone else?" The words shattered through the air like glass on tile. Adam froze, his fork halfway to his mouth. "What? I mean, we've been together for nearly a decade, Adam. People change. Desires evolve." "Nora, what the hell are you talking about?" "I'm talking about an open marriage." His heartbeat spiked. "You're talking about cheating with permission." She shook her head, calm, infuriatingly calm. "I'm talking about freedom. Exploration. Isn't that what healthy couples do these days?" "Healthy?" Adam laughed bitterly. "This isn't some podcast topic, Nora. We're married. We have a daughter." She looked down. "Exactly. We've played our roles long enough. But don't you ever wonder what else might be out there?" Adam stood abruptly, pushing back his chair. "No, I don't. Because what's here should be enough. Isn't it enough?" Nora didn't respond. That night, Adam lay awake in silence, listening to the faint whir of the ceiling fan, Nora's steady breathing beside him, sounding more foreign than familiar. He stared into the dark, knowing something had broken. It wouldn't be the last crack. The days after that dinner unfolded like a slow car crash. You see it coming. You slam the brakes. But the impact still breaks you. Nora didn't bring it up again, not directly, but she didn't need to. Adam saw the changes. Longer showers, longer silences, more perfume, less eye contact, a second phone, carelessly hidden in the bottom drawer of her desk, as if secrets don't scream when buried in plain sight. He didn't confront her. Not yet. Part of him didn't want confirmation. Because once you know, there's no turning back. No pretending you're just paranoid. No holding on to the lie that maybe she still chooses you. But one night, after she returned home at 1:13 a.m. without an apology, Adam followed her. Not physically, digitally. He checked the call logs on their shared cloud account. A number repeated often. Zach, a co-worker, young, divorced. The same man who complimented her earrings at last year's company party while Adam stood right there. It was always Zach. And once Adam knew, he saw in everything. The flirty texts Nora didn't bother to hide. The way she smiled at her phone and sighed like a woman touched through a screen. The lingerie receipts that weren't for him. The betrayal wasn't just in her body. It was in her eyes, her tone, the way she no longer said we. One morning, Lila asked Adam why Mommy never sat with them for breakfast anymore. He lied. Because how do you explain to a child that her mother is in love with someone who doesn't live here? The next evening, Adam sat on the porch alone, a beer in hand, the cool air thick with rage. He wasn't just hurt, he was humiliated. "I'm not going to beg," he told himself aloud. "I'm not going to be the man who watches his wife fall in love with someone else and just waits for the end credits." But what was the alternative? Divorce? Tear his daughter's world apart just to prove a point? No. If Nora wanted war disguised as freedom, he'd fight fire with frost. And that's when Lena called. Lena, Nora's estranged younger sister. The family rebel. The one Nora used to roll her eyes at during dinners, saying she'd never amount to anything. But Adam remembered Lena differently. He remembered the way she once looked at him, years ago, when Nora wasn't watching. That heat, that hesitation, that what if. And maybe, Just maybe. She remembered too. He texted her late that night. "You up?" A risky message. A stupid one. But anger makes cowards bold. Lena replied within seconds. "I figured you'd reach out sooner or later. You okay?" He wasn't. And she knew it. They agreed to meet the next day. Just coffee. Just catching up. But coffee, when laced with betrayal, tastes more like gasoline. At the cafe, Lena was electric. Leather jacket, wild curls, and eyes that didn't judge. She listened. She didn't try to defend her sister. She called it what it was. Selfishness dressed in fake enlightenment. "You gave her stability," Lena said. She got bored. "And now she wants to make you feel guilty for standing still," while she ran off chasing sparks. Adam stared at her, the air between them heavy with unspoken things. "I didn't reach out for this," he whispered. She smirked. "You sure?" That night, they didn't kiss. They didn't sleep together. But they did sit on Adam's living room couch until 3 a.m. talking about everything and nothing. About when love stops feeling like a choice and starts feeling like charity. And in that moment, Adam made a decision. He wouldn't crumble quietly. If Nora wanted open, he'd tear it wide. And she'd regret ever unlocking the door. Nora didn't suspect a thing. She believed Adam had surrendered, that he'd swallowed the bitter pill of her newfound freedom and simply accepted his fate like a good, domesticated husband. But Adam was only playing along. He smiled through dinner she no longer attended. He cleaned up Lila's toys alone, tucked her in a bed alone, and slept in a bed that was no longer theirs. Each time Nora slipped into the shower with her phone, he let her. Each time she came home smelling of hotel soap, he nodded silently. Let her think she was winning. Meanwhile, Adam and Lena kept meeting, first in public, then privately. At first, it was emotional survival. Then it became flirtation, then laughter that didn't carry guilt. But soon it was something else. One Friday night, after Lila had gone to bed and Nora hadn't come home, Lena arrived without warning. No makeup, no performance, just honesty. "I know what this looks like," she said, closing the door behind her. Adam stared at her. "What does it look like?" Lena hesitated, like a woman falling for the man her sister threw away. Adam stepped closer. "What if the man doesn't want to be thrown away?" She didn't answer. That night, nothing was left unsaid. Clothes were shed like the pain they'd both been carrying. It wasn't about sex. It was about defiance, about proving they were still wanted, still burning beneath the ruins. Adam woke before dawn, tangled in bedsheets and shame. But he didn't feel guilt. Not really. Nora had ignited this war. He'd simply returned fire. The next evening, while Nora was out again, no explanations offered, no lies left to tell, Adam made a choice. He took a photo. Just one. Lena in his shirt, sipping coffee at the kitchen counter. Her face hidden, but the meaning loud and clear. He sent it to Nora with no caption. 5 minutes later, the front door slammed open. Nora's heels echoed like gunshots across the hardwood. Her eyes found Lena, then Adam, and everything inside her cracked. "You're disgusting," she hissed. "No," Adam replied, cool and calm. "I'm resourceful." With her, "My sister," she screamed, voice shrill with betrayal. He stepped closer, expression unreadable. "You said we should explore. That love evolves. Isn't this what you wanted?" "This isn't exploration. This is revenge." Adam's voice lowered. "No, Nora. Revenge is what happens when someone ruins a home and expects to keep the keys." Lena rose silently, grabbed her coat, and walked out without a word. She didn't need to stay. The damage was done. Nora crumbled into a chair, her breath shallow, mascara bleeding down her cheeks. "We were supposed to grow," she said through tears. "No," Adam replied. "You were supposed to respect the life we built. Instead, you burned it." She didn't speak. Couldn't. Because what could she say? You can't plead for loyalty after spitting on commitment. In the days that followed, everything collapsed. Nora stopped pretending. She moved out, took her things, signed the divorce papers in silence. She didn't fight for custody. Maybe guilt swallowed her, or maybe she knew she'd already lost. But Adam wasn't finished. Because Nora wasn't just a woman who betrayed him. She was a woman who made him doubt himself, who turned their life into a performance and expected applause after the final act. And now, he had something she didn't. Control. Adam's home, once a haven turned battlefield, felt strangely calm after Nora left. No more late-night door creaks. No more lies soaked in perfume and wrapped in gaslighting. Just silence. A new kind. But it was the silence of clarity, not loneliness. For weeks, Adam buried himself in work. He rose at 5, worked out hard, shaved meticulously, and dressed sharper than before. He volunteered at Lila's school, met with financial advisors, even joined a local fathers group. Not because he needed distractions, but because he needed transformation. He wasn't the man she left anymore. He was the man who would remind her why that was a mistake. Nora, meanwhile, began to unravel. The man she betrayed Adam for, Zach, was never looking for love. He was looking for escape. And once the novelty wore off, he ghosted her. Just vanished. No calls. No flowers. Not even goodbye text. Nora stood in the middle of her new apartment one morning, surrounded by half-unpacked boxes and a single wine-stained couch, realizing she wasn't liberated. She was discarded. And that realization came with weight. The text to Adam began subtly. "Hey, can we talk sometime soon?" He didn't reply. Then, "I miss Lila. Can I come by?" He replied, blunt and surgical. "Schedule a visit. I'll have her ready." No warmth. No opening. Just process. The woman who once spoke of open love and freedom was now suffocating in the very space she'd begged for. And Adam? He was thriving. But he wasn't done. He began a project. Something Nora didn't see coming. Using old footage, photos, and receipts, Adam compiled a timeline of the affair. Not to humiliate her publicly, yet, but to document everything. He knew her job. Knew the company she worked for had strict codes of conduct. Knew that Zach was her superior. Sexual misconduct. Nepotism. Abuse of power. All wrapped in a pretty HR nightmare. Adam scheduled a meeting. Not with Nora. With the board of her company. He sat across from 3 executives, calm, composed. "This isn't vengeance," he said. "This is truth. You have an employee who manipulated internal relationships and broke the ethics code with a direct supervisor while misusing travel expenses." The board listened. Quietly. Uncomfortably. He slid the folder across the table. Names. Dates. Receipts. By the time he left, he didn't need to say another word. A week later, Nora's company launched a quiet internal audit. Then, an HR complaint was anonymously filed. 2 weeks later, she was suspended. 3 weeks later, her contract was terminated. No severance. No referrals. No reputation. She didn't call Adam this time. But Lena did. "I heard," she said softly. Adam didn't gloat. He didn't mock. He simply said, "She lit the match. I just let it burn." But what he hadn't anticipated was what happened next. Because Nora, broken, jobless, alone, showed up at his doorstep one Saturday morning. She wasn't wearing designer boots or makeup this time. Just old sneakers, hair tied back, a hoodie that used to be his. Lila wasn't home. She'd gone on a weekend camping trip with her cousins. It was just them, face to face. The woman who shattered everything, and the man who built himself back stronger. Nora stood in silence for a moment, eyes rimmed red. "I'm not here to beg," she began. "Good," Adam said coldly, folding his arms. "Because I don't have sympathy left." She swallowed hard. "I ruined everything. I know that now." "You ruined yourself," he corrected. "You don't get to take credit for my healing." Nora looked away, ashamed. "I thought I was chasing happiness," she whispered. "Turns out I was just running for myself." "You didn't just run," Adam said. "You bulldozed, lied, manipulated. And when I didn't collapse, you thought you still had leverage." Tears streamed down her cheeks, but he didn't reach out. "I don't expect forgiveness," she said, her voice trembling. "But I need you to know I never stopped loving you." Adam stepped forward, eyes dark. "Then you should have protected what we had. Love isn't a license to destroy." Nora reached in her pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. "I wrote this," she said, "weeks ago. I didn't have the courage to give it to you." He took it, but didn't read it. Not yet, because what came next would decide how this chapter closed. Adam stood at the threshold of the home that had once been built on laughter and quiet kisses, now a monument to survival. In his hand, the letter Nora had just handed him trembled, not from his grip, but from the weight of what it might contain. She was still standing in front of him, silent, hopeful, small, but he didn't invite her in. He looked her in the eye and said quietly, "If this letter is some last-ditch confession, Just know, I didn't wait for it. And I didn't need it. Nora blinked back tears, but she nodded, then turned and walked away without another word, her figure shrinking with every step down the drive. Only once the door was closed did Adam finally unfold the letter. It was short. Her handwriting, once so familiar, now looked like a stranger's. Adam, I don't deserve your forgiveness, and I won't ask for it. But I need you to know the truth. Not the kind I hid behind, not the versions I told myself to sleep at night. The real truth. I was never unhappy with you. I was unhappy with myself. I thought if I changed the rules, if I chased something new, I could outrun that feeling. But I wasn't chasing freedom. I was fleeing shame. You didn't fail me. I failed the version of myself who promised to protect our love. I forgot that comfort isn't a cage, it's safety. That routine isn't dull, it's devotion. That marriage isn't a trap, it's a choice. And I chose wrong. You were always enough. I just couldn't see it. I hope someday you meet someone who knows what she has before she risks it. And I hope Lila grows up knowing what real strength looks like, because she'll see it in you. Nora. Adam let the letter fall to the counter, unread by anyone else, but deeply etched into his memory. It didn't soften him. It didn't reignite anything. It simply confirmed what he already knew. He was done. The months that followed were filled with reinvention. Adam didn't just rebuild his life. He redesigned it. He got a promotion at work, not by chasing power, but by owning his role with clarity and calm. He started leading community workshops for divorced parents, not to talk about pain, but to show how resilience could become routine. He didn't date at first. He focused on Lila, on being present, on making their little world feel whole again, even if it was just the two of them. But slowly, someone new came into his life. A woman named Elise, a therapist who worked at Lila's school, soft-spoken and intelligent, with a wry sense of humor and a past she didn't hide. They met during a parent-teacher meeting, bonded over a shared love of literature, and talked for hours over coffee without once glancing at their phones. She never asked about Nora, and Adam never volunteered. Because real connections don't demand a rehash of trauma. They give space to breathe and build something new. And Nora? She faded. She lost more than her job. Friends distanced themselves. Family grew quiet. Even Lena, after a heartfelt conversation with Adam, made it clear she wasn't going to be Nora's echo chamber. She made her choices, Lena had said, almost apologetically, and now she has to live with them. Adam agreed. But then something happened Adam never expected. A journalist published an article titled, "When Corporate Betrayal Crosses the Line, the Woman Who Took Down Her Own Career." It didn't mention Nora's name directly, but the details were unmistakable. The article spread on LinkedIn and corporate HR forums like wildfire. Executives talked. Recruiters whispered. Doors quietly shut. Nora called Adam one last time. He almost didn't answer, but something in him, a final echo of who they once were, let him pick up. Her voice was quieter than he remembered. Like defeat had hollowed her out. "I know what's going around," she said. "I know people think you leaked it." Adam's reply was even. "Did you?" Silence. Then, "I ruined everything." "No," he said softly. "You redefined it, and I learned to rebuild without needing your approval." A pause. Then she asked the only question that still haunted her. "Do you hate me?" He took a long breath. "No, but I don't love you either." That was the truth, and she knew it. 6 months later, Adam stood in a sunlit backyard, holding Lila's hand as she clutched a flower girl basket. Elise's niece was getting married, and they'd both been invited. Laughter drifted across the yard. Music played. It wasn't flashy. It was peaceful, and peace felt more revolutionary than passion ever had. Elise joined them, wrapping an arm around Adam's waist. He leaned in, whispering something that made her smile. Lila looked up and said, "Daddy, can we get married too?" Everyone laughed. Adam knelt and kissed her forehead. "One day, baby girl. But when you do, make sure he's kind. And make sure he never makes you question your worth." Lila nodded seriously. "Like you." Adam smiled. "Exactly like me." It wasn't public disgrace. It wasn't taking her job. It wasn't even sleeping with her sister. It was waking up every day without bitterness. It was loving again, building again, living again, while she stayed stuck, chasing ghosts through every empty echo of what she gave up. Because sometimes the most powerful revenge is not needing one anymore.